We're looking at an introduction to statistics. So we're going to just cover some basics like populations, samples, parameter statistics, and different ways that we can collect data, and then bad ways of collecting data, and some of the different aspects of different experimental studies. So statistics is all about being able to make numerical claims about groups of people or objects or places. And so here are just some examples of some numerical claims. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend dentine. Almost 85% of lung cancers in men and 45% in women are tobacco related. Native Americans are significantly more likely to be hit crossing the streets than are people of their ethnicities. Notice that in this one there's no number; it just says more likely, and we're talking about something being likely to happen or the chances of something happening. Those are probabilities, which are numbers. People tend to be more persuasive when they look others directly in the eye and speak loudly and quickly. Again, there's no specific number here. However, you can measure persuasiveness in how likely you are to be able to persuade someone, and that can be a probability as well. Women make 75 cents to every dollar a man makes when they work the same job. A surprising new study shows that eating egg whites can increase one's lifespan. Again, there's no number here, but increasing one's lifespan is a number. People predict that it's very unlikely there will ever be another baseball player with a batting average over 400. So there's kind of two numbers here going on. There's the batting averages, and then there's unlikely. So again, looking at probabilities. There's an 80% chance that in a room full of 30 people, that at least 2 people will share the same birthday. And then 79.48% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So these are all numerical claims of some type, and we're not saying that they're true or false. These are just examples of claims. Look at some fundamental basic definitions. The first is population. The population of a study is the group that the collected data is intended to describe. So if I am wanting to describe the typical college student, and so I'm going to go and do a survey of college students in my area, then the population is all college students, even though I'm obviously not talking to every college student. Or maybe I would like to know something about the first-time mothers. And so I go to a hospital and find them women that have just given birth for the first time, or go to an adoption agency and find the people that have adopted for the first time. Then my population would be the group of first-time mothers, and of course I collect data about first-time mothers from those that I can find. So that's what a population is. It's the group we're trying to describe. Sometimes we'll call it the target population, because when we collect our data, we may not actually be collecting data from a group that really represents our population, and so the word target here just indicates that there's a population that we're trying to describe, even though we may not hit it spot on. Okay, now very often we are trying to describe something numerically, right? I mean, in statistics, it's all about making numerical claims. And so the number that we're going to be estimating is called a parameter, okay? And it's a value that can be calculated from data from the entire population. Okay, so maybe I'd like to know something about high school students in the state of Utah. So then the population is all high school students in the state of Utah. And if I can find out some number that describes all students in the state of Utah, that would be called a parameter. So maybe I'd like to know what the average IQ is of all high school students in Utah. Well, that would be a parameter. Now, it's not really likely that I'm going to find that number, okay? But the parameter is the thing that I want to figure out as close as possible to, okay? And it's the number that's the hardest to find because you would need data from every individual in the population. Here's an example. A newspaper website contains a poll asking people their opinion on a recent news article. What is the population? So this newspaper is trying to find out people's opinions about a recent news article. The question is, who does this newspaper actually care about knowing their opinion? What are they trying to figure out here? And so since they're asking people their opinion on a recent news article, they're obviously talking about people that read their newspaper. And so our population here, the target population, is readers of the newspaper. Look at another example. You've been accepted to the University of Utah. To prepare for next year, you'd like to study the amount of money spent on textbooks by a typical first-year college student. What should be the population of your study, and what will the parameter measure? So remember, the population is the group of people, the group of individuals that you actually would like to know data about. Okay, so it says here that you would like to study the amount of money spent on textbooks by a typical first-year college student. Now, you don't actually care about first-year college students in New York or first-year college students in France. You specifically care about first-year college students at the University of Utah. And so that's going to be our population. First-year students at the University of Utah. Okay, because that's the group that you actually care about knowing something about. The parameter, remember, the parameter is the number that's going to describe something useful to you, okay? And the parameter here, well, we specifically care about the amount of money spent on textbooks, okay? And so the way we're going to measure that would be the average money spent on textbooks during the first year. So if you were trying to conduct a study here to give yourself the best idea of what to expect at your first year at the University of Utah, you would go and you would find as many first-year students at the University of Utah that you could and ask them the average amount of money that was spent on textbooks during their first year. Now, this population, this could be a little tricky. The population is first-year students at University of Utah because that's what we care about. However, you could ask second-year students about their first-year experience, and therefore the information you're collecting is still data about first-year students, even though the person you're talking to may not be in that group anymore.